Browns is the Browns. This is the most hype they've ever had. Like, it's the Browns.
Exactly.
So, he got drafted to the wrong team. That Sanders name, I'm telling you right now, there's only one person that understands business, and he will trade his quarterback for Sanders. Dallas is where Sanders is gonna be.
Wow.
Because that name on the back of that jersey is legacy, and he's gonna want that to ring bells around.
What if I told you one move, one shocking, Texas-sized power play could flip the entire NFL upside down? Because right now, the rumor mill is spinning out of control, and at the center of it all is none other than Shedeur Sanders, with whispers tying his future not to the Cleveland Browns, but to the one team that lives for chaos, the Dallas Cowboys. Imagine the headlines. Imagine Jerry Jones grinning ear to ear, pen in hand, ready to write a check that could make the league explode. And on the other side, a furious Browns front office, scrambling like someone just pulled the fire alarm in the middle of draft night. Yeah, this isn't just football anymore. This feels like a full-blown soap opera with helmets and million-dollar contracts. And trust me, the twists we're about to get into, they're even wilder than the rumor itself. But before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button so more people see this breakdown. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of this insane NFL drama. Because if this story keeps snowballing, you're going to want to be here when the truth finally drops. The NFL rumor mill didn't just whisper this time. It detonated. Out of nowhere, reports started swirling that Shedeur Sanders could be on his way to Dallas, and the shockwaves hit Cleveland like a blindside sack. Inside the Browns front office, the story goes that GM Andrew Berry absolutely lost it. We're talking spreadsheets flying across the room like ninja stars, interns ducking for cover, and assistants wondering if they should call security or just let him scream it out. And somewhere, lurking in the shadows of this chaos, you can picture Jerry Jones holding a Texas-sized checkbook, smirking like a man who already knows how this movie ends. For him, it's not about subtle negotiations. It's about making the kind of move that steals every headline in America overnight. To the outside world, it looked like pure comedy. Memes of Barry's meltdown spread faster than a fourth-quarter fumble. Fans joked that he looked like a guy who just found out his Netflix password got stolen by an ex. But underneath the jokes, the fear was real. Because if Dallas is truly circling, Cleveland's worst nightmare might already be coming true. Because for the Browns, this isn't just about losing a quarterback. It's about losing control of the story. And once the Cowboys step into the frame, the spotlight never leaves. But here's the thing. Barry's rage wasn't just about the rumor itself. It was about why that rumor even exists in the first place. See, here's the part that makes this whole thing sting even worse for Cleveland. The Browns didn't just stumble onto Shedeur Sanders, they hand-picked him. Andrew Berry was the one pounding the table on draft night, insisting the coaching staff could unlock Shedeur's potential. He called him the future, the next piece of the puzzle. But what happened when the lights came on? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Shedeur has been collecting dust on the bench, rolled out only in meaningless garbage time minutes when the scoreboard is already a crime scene and half the roster is mentally booking their off-season vacations.
It's like buying a $200,000 sports car and only driving it to grab the mail, bragging about horsepower you'll never actually unleash. That's Cleveland with Shedeur, a franchise that somehow manages to find gold only to bury it deeper than a time capsule in the backyard. And fans see it. They're not blind. Every snap Shedeur takes feels like an empty audition, a staged cameo in games that don't matter. Instead of real development, it's more like witness protection, hiding your best card in a shoebox while pretending it's all part of some long-term plan. And now, with the Cowboys rumor heating up, that strategy looks less like patience and more like pure incompetence. Because if Dallas actually makes a move, the Browns won't just lose a quarterback, they'll lose the one thing every franchise needs to survive: credibility. And that's exactly when Jerry Jones decides to step into the picture. Here's the thing about the Dallas Cowboys. They're not just a football team. They're the NFL's biggest stage, a billion-dollar soap opera disguised as a franchise, and nobody plays the role of ringmaster better than Jerry Jones. Jerry doesn't just want to win games, he wants to dominate the spotlight. He wants billboards, primetime ratings, national debates that keep his team's name in everyone's mouth from Monday morning to Sunday night. And what better way to do that than by bringing in the son of Deion Sanders, a quarterback with swagger, a famous name, and a built-in fan base that stretches coast to coast. To Jerry, Shedeur isn't just a prospect, he's a storyline waiting to explode. Imagine the jersey sales, the ESPN segments, the Netflix documentaries. Cowboys Nation isn't just hungry for wins, they're addicted to drama. And a Sanders leading America's team? That's the kind of chaos Jerry has built an empire on. And that's why Cleveland should be nervous, because when the Cowboys want something, they don't just ask, they take it. They'll move mountains, trade stars, even toss aside their own quarterback if it means landing the next big attraction. The Cowboys don't chase championships, they chase moments. They chase spectacle. And Shedeur Sanders in a Silver Star helmet would be the biggest spectacle the league has seen in years. But here's where it gets even crazier. The rumor about Dallas isn't just about headlines. It might go deeper, way deeper. Now here's where things get downright cinematic. Because the whispers about Dallas aren't just, hey, they like Shedeur. No. Fans are convinced there's a master plan unfolding behind the scenes. It all starts with a phone call. Rumors suggest Jerry Jones reached out to Deion Sanders a while back. Officially, the story was that he wanted to talk about coaching, maybe float the idea of prime time one day leading the Cowboys. But fans aren't buying it. The theory, that call wasn't about Deion at all. It was about his son. Reports claim Jerry's been quietly positioning himself, eyeing the 2025 draft, and even toying with the idea of moving on from Dak Prescott. Some say he's plotting a blockbuster, stockpiling draft picks, clearing cap space, and setting the table to pounce when Shedeur's name gets called.
It sounds crazy, right? But think about it. This is Jerry Jones we're talking about. The same guy who once held a press conference on his yacht. The same man who has never shied away from flipping the script just to keep the Cowboys at the center of attention. And if you believe the online chatter, this isn't just about football strategy. It's about destiny. A Sanders and a Cowboys jersey feels like the kind of storyline too perfect for Jerry to ignore. A young quarterback with the name recognition of a Hollywood star stepping onto the NFL's biggest stage? That's not just a draft pick. That's a ratings bonanza. But here's the kicker. If this conspiracy is even halfway true, it means Cleveland is sitting on borrowed time. Because while Andrew Berry insists Shedeur is part of the Browns' future, Jerry Jones might already be plotting to make him Dallas's next superstar. And if that happens, Cleveland doesn't just lose a quarterback. They become the punchline to the NFL's juiciest drama. But this isn't the first time the Browns have stared disaster in the face. In fact, their entire history might explain exactly why they're panicking now. If you followed the NFL for more than 5 minutes, you already know the Cleveland Browns don't just have a quarterback problem. They have a quarterback curse. For decades, it's been the same painful cycle. Draft a franchise savior, pump up the hype, throw him into a chaotic system, watch him crumble, then hit reset and do it all over again. Tim Kutch, Brady Quinn, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, the list is longer than a CVS receipt. And every name on it is a reminder of just how brutal this franchise has been at handling quarterbacks. And now, fans are terrified that Shedeur Sanders is next in line. Think about it. He was drafted with all the hype in the world, a quarterback with the bloodline, the swagger, the talent. He should have been the centerpiece of a rebuild. Instead, he's been treated like an afterthought, tossed into meaningless snaps with backup linemen who already had one foot out the door. That's not development, that's sabotage. It's like signing a superstar chef, then telling him he can only practice in the microwave. And here's the cruel part. The moment Dallas whispers his name, Cleveland suddenly acts protective. Now Andrew Berry wants to talk about Shedeur as the future, as if the last season of wasted opportunities never happened. Fans aren't buying it. They're too familiar with this playbook. Because if Jerry Jones swoops in and steals Shedeur, it won't just be another quarterback lost. It'll be the ultimate proof of what Cleveland fans have been screaming for years, that their front office doesn't just fumble the ball on Sundays, they fumble franchises. And just when the Browns' reputation couldn't sink any lower, Dallas enters the chat. Because for the Cowboys, this isn't a curse, it's an opportunity. And they know exactly how to turn chaos into cash. Here's the part nobody in Cleveland wants to admit. This isn't just about Shedeur Sanders throwing touchdowns. This is about business. The NFL isn't just a sport anymore. It's primetime entertainment, and no one understands that better than Jerry Jones. To him, a blockbuster move isn't just measured in wins and losses. It's measured in jersey sales, TV ratings, and headlines that stretch from ESPN to late-night talk shows.
Now, picture this. Shedeur Sanders jogging out of the tunnel in a Cowboys uniform, cameras flashing, broadcasters already dusting off their best primetime one-liners. Overnight, Dallas doesn't just have another quarterback. They have a storyline, a legacy. The son of Deion Sanders carrying the most famous star in football on his helmet. You think that wouldn't sell? Please. That's a marketing dream. We're talking thousands of jerseys flying off shelves before he even takes a snap. Networks lining up for exclusive interviews. Netflix probably emailing Jerry Jones about a documentary before Shedeur even shakes the commissioner's hand on draft night. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, the Browns are left scrambling for damage control. The same team that spent a season treating Shedeur like an afterthought would have to watch as Dallas turns him into the face of America's team. It's like watching someone sell a rare Picasso for pocket change, then flipping on the TV the next day and seeing it hanging in a museum. And that's why this rumor has grown into something so much bigger. It's not just a trade. It's not just a draft pick. It's a story with ratings written all over it. But here's where it gets truly twisted. The Browns don't even realize they're writing the most embarrassing chapter themselves. Because the ultimate irony, it's not that Dallas might get Shedeur, it's what it says about Cleveland if they do. Here's the cruel punchline that has Cleveland fans shaking their heads. The Browns had Shedeur Sanders the whole time, and they barely even used him. Think about that for a second. They drafted him with all the hype in the world, paraded him as the future, and then parked him on the bench like some collector's item they were too scared to unwrap. They treated him like a rare comic book sealed in plastic, stored away for some day that never came. And now, the second Dallas even whispers his name, suddenly the Browns are acting like he's untouchable. Now Andrew Berry is pounding the table, claiming Shedeur is part of the future, insisting he was always in the plans. But fans aren't fooled. They've watched this team long enough to know the pattern. Cleveland has turned quarterback mismanagement into an Olympic sport. They've ruined so many promising careers, it's practically stitched into their team logo. And if Shedeur walks, it's not just another bust on the list, it's the ultimate embarrassment. Because here's the irony. The Browns might lose Shedeur not because he failed, but because they never gave him a real chance to succeed. They benched him, ignored him, and then panicked only when someone else recognized his value. It's like hiding a winning lottery ticket in your sock drawer, then losing your mind when your neighbor finds out. Meanwhile, Dallas doesn't even have to lift a finger. All they have to do is sit back, let the rumors spread, and watch Cleveland implode under its own insecurity. By the time the draft clock hits 0, Shedeur Sanders could walk into AT&T Stadium as the Cowboys' new face of the franchise, and Cleveland would be left with nothing but regret. That's not just irony. That's humiliation on a national stage. That's the NFL world pointing, laughing, and saying, "The Browns did it again."
But here's the real question. What if Shedeur Sanders decides he's done waiting? What if he finally chooses himself,
and walks away from Cleveland before they bury his career for good. At the end of the day, this isn't just about playbooks, depth charts, or draft boards. This is about control of a story. Right now, Shedeur Sanders is stuck in Cleveland's version of football purgatory, hyped up as the future, then hidden away like a secret no one's allowed to see. But the second Dallas shows interest, suddenly the Browns want to pretend he's the golden child. Too late, the damage is already done. Because here's the reality. Shedeur doesn't need to beg for snaps. He doesn't need to sit quietly while the Browns spin excuses about development. All he has to do is exist, and the entire league will come knocking. And if that knock comes from Jerry Jones, that's not just opportunity, that's destiny. Imagine it, draft night 2025. The Dallas Cowboys are on the clock, the cameras zoom in, the crowd holds its breath. And when the name Shedeur Sanders echoes through the arena, the NFL doesn't just get a new quarterback, it gets a storyline that feels almost scripted. A Sanders in silver and blue, stepping into the brightest lights in football, while Cleveland sits at home wondering how they let history slip right through their hands. For Andrew Berry and the Browns, it would be the ultimate nightmare. The moment they go from cautious planners to the butt of the league's biggest joke. But for Shedeur, it could be the beginning of something much bigger. A chance to finally take control, write his own chapter, and prove he's more than a marketing gimmick. So here's the question I'll leave you with. Is this just another wild rumor, or are we watching destiny unfold in real time? Because if Jerry Jones is truly serious, and if Shedeur decides he's done waiting in the shadows, then Cleveland might not just lose a quarterback. They might lose their last shred of credibility. And honestly, that might be the most Cleveland ending of all. Before you go, make sure you hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Shedeur ends up in Dallas, or is this all smoke and mirrors? And of course, subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of this NFL soap opera. Trust me, this story is only just getting started.